In this video, you will learn why detaching from the man you have a lot of feelings for is a great way to attract him, but also to keep him, but most importantly, to never lose yourself in a romantic relationship, to never give a man control over you, to feel safer, more respected and loved in your relationship, to never have to fight for his attention or love or whatever. And here's why. The things and people we are attached to own us. Well, that's not what we want. Even in our love life, we should never give someone else control over us. Of course, a lot of people then think, duh, but they fail to realize that by being attached to someone, they are giving that person control over them, over their emotions. The more we are afraid of losing someone, the more we put someone on a pedestal, the more we attach to them or to the future we really want to have with them, the more that person has control over us. And the funny thing is, they don't have to do big things to use that control. It will be very easy to make us feel bad. For example, if we have been on a first date with someone and to us it felt really great, we really hope to see them again and we feel a lot of chemistry. We get attached a bit already and we picture what a relationship together would look like, and that makes us feel really good. So the next morning, with a lot of butterflies in our stomach, we sent them a simple text message just to say that we had fun and that we hope to see them again. And we do that because we find it important to eventually have a relationship with them. Cool. What's not cool is that 24 hours later, they still did not reply, even though they clearly saw the message. How will that make us feel? Probably not great. Plus, every time our phone vibrates or beeps, we may run to our phone to see if it was them. See? They already have control over our emotions, and this was just the first date. And it doesn't end with these text messages, of course, but my point is, the more we attach to someone, the less in control we will feel and the more we start to lose ourselves. The solution is very simple. Stop dating. Avoid romantic contact with anyone. Put a wall around your heart and just never ever fall in love again. Just kidding. Luckily there's another way, and it's called detachment. Thanks to detachment, we can remain in control. Nobody owns us. We own ourselves. We can be in a healthy relationship and love someone deeply while still not giving away control. So let's talk about it. My name is Geert. I'm an author. I also use the pen name Brian Knox. I write about relationships and other topics. And if you love to be in a relationship and feel respected and loved, if you like to sleep well at night and hate overthinking everything, especially when it comes to dating or relationship-related things, if you want to feel strong and confident, then detachment can help you out a lot. Detachment while dating or in a relationship means that we remain independent. We are and remain our own person, and our love interest becomes the cherry on top of the cake. They are a great addition to our life, but never a necessity. They don't own us, and we do not own them. Now, in the movie Jerry Maguire, Tom Cruise says the famous romantic sentence, "You complete me." And that's very romantic and all, but that also means that when we are single, we are incomplete. That there is a part that is missing, like a car without an engine. But we are complete. We are not perfect, but we are complete. Nobody else needs to come in to rescue and complete us, because if that were true, then whoa. Then relationships do become this big and heavy thing that should keep us up all night. I personally, and let me know what you think in the comments, but I like to think that I am my own person. Whether I am single or in a relationship, I am always complete. Far from perfect, but complete. I am me, myself. I'm not a car without an engine. If we need someone else in order to feel complete or to be happy, well then say hello to being very dependent and needy and to feel bad in that relationship. We have just sold our soul and happiness to that other person then. To me, detachment is never about not caring or shielding our heart or being indifferent. It's all about the full acceptance of whatever can happen. We are and feel more in control then because we are not trying to control everything, because we accept every possible outcome. We don't try to control what happens because we don't need it to go in a certain direction. And the emphasis is on the word need here. Of course, it would be great if a person turns out to be the love of our life, but it's not a necessity. And that is good news because while dating or in a relationship, we cannot control what happens. We are dealing with another living person and they will do what they do. And as I am sure you have already noticed, it will very often be very unpredictable. So the more we try to control the relationship or how the other person acts, the worse we will feel and the higher the chance of a breakup because we will be pushing them away. Now, the first way to help you to detach is to realize that not everything is a big deal. A lot of things that feel like a big deal are not a big deal in reality, especially when we look back at them in 10 years, for example. Like a breakup. A breakup usually feels like a very big deal, like a really bad thing, but we don't know that it is a bad thing. 10 years from now, when we look back, we may decide that it's the best thing that ever happened to us because it was the stepping stone to get us to our dream relationship with our dream person, someone else. We never know. Only time will tell. So we might as well learn to say, okay, it is what it is. So we detach from people, but also from outcomes. That's important too. A relationship with that person, that will be so great. I can picture how romantic it will be. So I think I have to do everything I can to make that work. No, we do not. Losing ourselves to make a relationship work, for example, is, in my opinion, never ever worth it. Plus, sometimes we are attached to something that's not even real. We meet someone new and our mind immediately comes up with a picture of who that person is and what our future together could look like. And sometimes it looks like rainbows and butterflies and unicorns and, well, a fairy tale. But what is that based on? Guesswork. We are guessing. And this also works in the opposite direction. Sometimes we meet someone and really fall for them, and then the walls go up because what if they hurt our feelings? What if they do what that other person did to me in the past? What if I open my heart and they hurt me? Well, that's also an outcome we have to detach from. What is all of this based on? Still guesses. We still do not know. This is a new person and we have so much to learn about them, and that takes a very long time. So we detach from the outcome and we let it play out. A second way to use detachment and get really good at it is to often do things alone, completely alone. That's when you really get to know yourself. That's when you see and learn that you can be truly happy alone. I personally have always needed that. For example, ever since I became an adult, whether I was single or in a relationship, I have always traveled alone for a couple of days per year. Or even weeks when I was single. Just me, so no friends either. It strengthens the relationship I have with myself. When we know that we can be happy and totally fulfilled alone because we have experienced it many times, it becomes so much easier to detach from someone, to not make a big deal out of everything, to just see where it goes. A good relationship or a breakup, either way is fine. When we create a great relationship with ourselves through time spent alone, by doing things alone, we become our own best friend. And when that happens, feeling lonely becomes the exception. Being afraid of losing someone no longer is an issue, because the other person is not the missing piece of the puzzle. We have all the pieces. We are the full puzzle and they are their own separate puzzle. And everybody wins because when we do detach, our love interest meets the real us. Not the needy version of us, not the jealous version of us, not the I'm always overthinking version of us. We will not chase after them. We will not put pressure on them. It will be much harder to scare them away because they will not feel suffocated by our actions. Only psychopaths and other very dangerous people want to own us, want to control us. Other people feel suffocated when we give them that power by strongly attaching to them, by depending on them. It feels like a burden and they may even lose romantic interest because of it. But the opposite, when they feel you are not attached, when they feel you like them, when they feel you are attracted, perhaps even love them, but at the same time you are not attached, you are your own independent person, you are unapologetically yourself and never afraid to show who that is, you then become irresistible. It creates a force that pulls them in, instead of the force that pushes them away when you would be needy. So even when you are in a relationship, try to do things on your own, even if it's just for a couple of hours here and there. Try to become your own best friend. Get to know yourself as much as you can, and that doesn't happen when you are always surrounded by a partner or friends or even a pet like a dog. No distractions, and no scrolling on social media either. And if you have never done this, this will feel very weird at first, but it's super liberating. And there is more. I have already talked about things often not being that big of a deal. Well, being detached also means that we intellectually choose what is a big deal and what is not, regardless of what our emotions or our ego are saying, because they make a lot of mistakes. To stay with the same example I used earlier, when you text someone and they see the message, but this time they do not text you back for 48 hours, then the big deal this may seem to be is not real. That's our ego. Perhaps that person is really busy and will reply as soon as they can. No big deal. Perhaps that person does not like you and was faking that they were interested in you earlier. Well, then they are definitely not a big deal. So detaching also means that we realize my mind thinks this is a big deal, but the mind often makes mistakes. So is this worth my time and my attention? Will this truly change the course of my life in a bad direction? Am I sure of that? And as you will see, it's very often not that big of a deal. Now, just for your information, if someone does not text us back for 48 hours and nobody has heard from them ever since, then they may have been abducted, and that is always a big deal, just for your information. And also, just in case all of this would make you think that you have to not care about him or become indifferent to detach, that's not what I'm saying. You can love him very much. You can enjoy his presence. You're just not going to fight for it. You're not going to worry that it may end or that he may hurt your feelings. Because if that happens, and if we look at the divorce and breakup statistics, then this is definitely a possibility. If that happens, then you will feel bad. But you will deal with it and move on. You are more than strong and capable enough to deal with that and to move on. And you will cross that bridge when you have to, not before. Plus, if you ever have to fight for a guy because he is indifferent, if you ever feel like you have to worry and overthink and strategize to not lose him because one day he's very interested, but then the next day he's truly not, then, and I think you know what I'm going to say here, then he's not the right guy for you. The only people that technically deserve to have control over us and our emotions to that extent are the ones that make the relationship feel safe and somewhat smooth, the ones that put in an equal effort so we do not have to be afraid or worry all the time in the first place. A third way to detach, so the first one was realize that not everything is a big deal and that our brain and ego make a lot of mistakes here. 2 was doing things on your own. 3 is you come first. To you, your own well-being should always be the most important thing on this planet. And no, that does not make you selfish. You probably have heard of the typical example of the flight attendant in the airplane that says that in case of an emergency, if the masks fall down, put one on yourself first before helping other people, because otherwise you may faint and then you cannot help anyone. I think it's the same in life. And I'm not talking about caring for a newborn baby, for example, but with adults, if we consistently make other people more important than us, we will lose ourselves, and then nobody gets to enjoy everything that makes us great and loving and supportive. So a great question to ask to detach in this area is, if my well-being is really important, what would I do in this situation? This question forces us to detach and will sometimes show us another path we can take. I will wrap it up here because this is already a long video, but if you want the deeper stuff, you can find that on brianknox.com, or you can read my books by going to Amazon and searching for my pen name, Brian Knox. Thank you for not detaching during this video and for still being here at the very end of this video. I love it when you do that. This is a big deal to me, a real one. Please let me know what you think about this topic in the comments, and I hope to see you in another video.